What's going on, guys? Gamer Dude back once again after an extremely long hiatus, and I am back. Yes, I am back in that gaming groove. So it is fitting that I come back with news from one of my favorite games, Marvel's Avengers, or rather, should I say, it used to be my favorite game, considering everything that's going on with it. Before we move on with the video, you guys know the routine. If you are new to the channel, if you are a returning viewer, make sure you smash that like button, and if you are new, make sure you drop me a subscribe. It would be so appreciated. Thank you so much. Now, on we go. As you guys may or may not know, Marvel's Avengers has had a rocky start since its launch in 2020. We've had so many leaks and rumors for the game's future, and now it seems that future is in jeopardy. Square Enix have actually sold off the rights to multiple titles, Marvel's Avengers being one of them. Now, thanks to Square Enix's deal with the newly acquired studio Embracer Group, fans of Marvel's Avengers might be getting significantly less DLC than they'd hoped for. Now, as I mentioned, since it launched back in 2020, it's fair to say that Crystal Dynamics has had a busy time figuring things out with this game. Instead of them focusing on their usual titles, like its next Tomb Raider installment, the studio has spent a sizable amount of time working on polarizing this comic book adaptation of the Avengers, because whether people want to believe it or not, it has absolutely nothing to do with the MCU or Marvel Spider-Man. This has been confirmed to be its own entity. Anyway, in an attempt to rectify some of the issues that fans have had with this game, adding in the free DLC heroes to its roster alongside brand new content has by far been the biggest part of this game's lifespan. This game's lifespan depends on the end game content, given that the story content was only 5 or 6 hours long and it could be completed within a single day, which did let it down a little bit. But that's not to say I didn't enjoy the story. I really did enjoy the story, giving Kamala, a hero that doesn't get much love in the Marvel Universe, her chance to shine, her spotlight. Moving on. But thanks to several high-profile leaks, fans have had a solid idea of what to expect in terms of content from this game, and what Crystal Dynamics have actually been working on for the game's future. Most of what has seemingly been in the pipeline for quite a while now has had players eagerly speculating and awaiting this content for a couple of years now since it launched. However, due to Square Enix's decision to sell a chunk of its Western studios and IPs to the Embracer Group, everything has now been thrown off the rails. Right now, it's easy to see the game's future going down one of several routes, depending on how the likes of Disney react to the news, given how Disney own the rights to Marvel properties. And we'll be discussing some of those routes throughout this video. Now, we'll begin with the leaks that started way back from even before the game's launch, when it was on its beta phase. What's interesting about Crystal Dynamics' plans for Marvel's Avengers post-launch support is in fact that players have had a decent idea of what to expect since before the game even hit the store shelves. Back during the summer of 2020, still before the game launched, an extensive list of potential DLC heroes was posted onto the internet following some clever beta build data mining. Of course, data mining being the key source to getting things that are in the game's coding files that we know are coming, but are just coming at a later date. But yeah, I'm getting off track. But since then, a lot of those leaks have actually come true. The likes of Black Panther, Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, all three characters have been guaranteed from that list into the actual game itself. The only character not being there that's been added was, of course, Spider-Man, but that was an exclusive deal between Disney and Sony for Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix. Now, even though plenty of heroes have also failed to materialize, the likes of Doctor Strange, Wanda, there's still reason to believe that all of them were at one time or another planned for the game. It's clear from the way that Square Enix, Crystal Dynamics, and Marvel have all spoken about the game that the project wasn't short of its intended ambition. What's also readily apparent is the fact that the situation surrounding Marvel's Avengers has significantly changed since its inception, without even factoring in the studio's new owners. It's easy to imagine that the original DLC plan had already been significantly scaled back in light of the game's commercial reception, which, given Square Enix's losses of $20 million, didn't seem all that receptive. But there's also been a notable shift in the type of Marvel's Avengers leaks that have done the rounds online in recent times. Rumoured characters such as Doctor Strange, who were at one time seemingly shoo-ins to appear, have been replaced by other heroes such as a copy and paste job like Kate Bishop or the upcoming Jane Foster's incarnation of Thor, who was confirmed to be the next free DLC edition before the studio's acquisition of the IP. Now, there hasn't been a roadmap release this year, and I'm guessing that's due down to the purchase of the IP for Marvel's Avengers, and they're now unsure as to the future of the game and what characters we can get. Now, in my personal opinion, I really do feel like we're going to get Jane Foster and possibly She-Hulk, because She-Hulk has been seemingly data mined and nothing's been data mined after that. They're going to pull the plug, and I've been saying this for the past year now that they're going to pull the plug on the game because it's just not generating the revenue, it's not generating the player base that they expected, and with the new guys that have bought the IP for it, they might feel the same and just think, well, screw it, scrap it, make another one, or move on to other pastures like Tomb Raider. But as I was saying about the DLC characters, when things get leaked, you should always take every rumor with a grain of salt when it hits the internet until there's actual official confirmation from the developers. So maybe that's why people got a little bit too overexcited about the game, that they expected too much from it. I mean, Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics said that the game would run for years, but there's always that chance that, like right now, things get sold off and the new owners of the IP feel it's in the best interest of the game and the fans and the money to just stop. Now, in addition to being scaled back from the grand original plan this game had, it looks as though Crystal Dynamics will also focus on adding heroes that already have counterparts in the game, as I mentioned, Jane Foster's Thor and Kate Bishop. In future DLC expansions, if there are any future DLC expansions, that is, as I said, we could look forward to She-Hulk, which again is just a copy and paste character. The same if we get Winter Soldier or War Machine. Winter Soldier being a copy and paste of Captain America, except instead of a shield, he uses guns, which I suppose would be quite fun in this game. and War Machine, which is essentially an exact copy of Iron Man. Now, while each character does have their own unique abilities and skill sets, and not to mention charm to boot, a lot of their respective movesets have already been implemented via the likes of Hulk, Captain America, and Iron Man. So if there are any future characters, it's likely far easier for the studio to implement these copy and paste characters into the game than the unique Doctor Strange or Scarlet Witch, for example. Which that's not to say, don't say that they may not come, because they're only adding Jane Foster's Thor in honor of the Thor movie that's coming up. So maybe they'll add Doctor Strange or Wanda in a future update if it doesn't get cancelled or get its plug pulled, because we've just had Doctor Strange 2 release. But that's a different video entirely. Now, moving on to Disney. I really hate Disney. It's no secret that I hate Disney. Anyone who knows me knows I hate Disney, but thanks to Square Enix's unexpected agreement with the new IP Embracer Group, the future of the publisher's licensing deal with Disney could now be thrown into chaos and doubt. While the new owner of Crystal Dynamics has expressed its desire for its acquisitions to continue working on Marvel-themed games and content, there's no set-in-stone guarantee that the comic book publisher would agree. Now, even though Microsoft has allowed the likes of Bethesda to honor pre-existing contracts after being acquired, it's unclear whether this was goodwill gestures to avoid messy legal ramifications, or if they actually just wanted to continue it because they felt it was successful enough. So, if an agreement can be reached between Square Enix and Disney and the new Embracer Group that owns Avengers, there's a decent chance that Crystal Dynamics will be allowed to continue working on Marvel's Avengers. So, there's hope after all. You know, thanks to all the leaks that we've had, that the studio has committed itself to supporting the live service title for some time to come, even in the face of lackluster sales and a mixed critical reception from its launch. Content hasn't exactly dried up for the game after nearly 2 years. I mean, in fairness, all the DLCs are free, and you can't say that about a lot of live service games. Take Destiny, for example. You know, that their DLCs aren't exactly free. And for Marvel's Avengers, all characters are free. And taking into account the price of the credits on the marketplace for Avengers, DLCs could have been quite similar to the price of those. So, you know, there's that. It's positive that all the DLCs are free. But it doesn't necessarily mean fans should prepare themselves for the studio's original post-launch support plans, though. As I mentioned earlier, you know, they said they had big plans for the game, that they wanted it to go on for years. That could all now be in jeopardy and all change. It's now far more likely that heroes that have been worked on already will be added into the game later sporadically down the line. Like I said, we may get She-Hulk, given that Crystal Dynamics did say that she was going to be the next hero, but she got seemingly postponed to add in Jane Foster's Thor. But other big names for the Avengers will likely be shelved to save on money and resources. Characters like Doctor Strange, for example, or actually Captain Marvel, if you think about it, because Captain Marvel has been teased since the inception of the game. That's the whole point of Miss Marvel. You know, she's obsessed with Captain Marvel. Captain America, when she first meets him on the helicarrier, he says she's off planet. Then we've got this whole Kree thing with the Kree Sentry. You've got the Hawkeye DLC with the Kree invasion. That all hints at Captain Marvel, you know? And we all expected that Captain Marvel would come later down the line to finish that Kree storyline, or to show us that alternate timeline and have Captain Marvel show up that way. But we'll have to wait and see, because there were other leaked heroes on that list, like Vision and Quake, but it's likely none of those will now see the light of day. But with Marvel's live-action MCU schedule packed with releases, there's an outside chance, and take this with a grain of salt, under this scenario, that the likes of Captain Marvel, as I was talking about, could be added when a film like The Marvels is released. As again, as I said, the only reason they're adding Jane Foster is to honour the Thor movie, the new Thor movie. So, is it the end of a golden era? Based on Marvel's Avengers' polarizing life, there's also a chance that Crystal Dynamics' vision for its future could be dramatically cut short. With the studio having already announced that Jane Foster will debut seemingly near Thor Love and Thunder's theatrical release, so that's still at least another month away, it's hard to envision any party involved cancelling that expansion, because that would leave a lot of people cheesed off, and not to mention it's a pre-existing contract from before the IP was sold off. So that one is assuring, Jane Foster is assuring. There's not really anyone that can come by and cancel that, unless Disney are like, wait, hang on a minute, no. Then maybe it's a small chance though, because Disney like to hype things up. They like showing off. Partly why I don't like them, because they've bought up pretty much 90% of Hollywood and are toning things down for babies. Enough said. But yeah, it wouldn't be particularly shocking if everything after that point is shelved. Like I said earlier, shelved is just a polite term for pulling the plug. And if the plug is pulled on this game, maybe somewhere in the future they'll bring out like an anniversary DLC for it, or like they might do a farewell DLC for it, or they might even continue supporting updates for bugs. But the content in terms of characters will cease, which will leave a lot of empty spaces in terms of progression for the story missions, because like I said, there's the Captain Marvel stuff with the Kree invasion that we still need to see. Now, considering how Square Enix is reported to have lost over $200 million on all of its Marvel projects combined, so that includes Guardians of the Galaxy, which I don't understand how, because that game was considerably more fun and more enjoyable than Avengers, and it definitely had a longer story, so I don't see how that lost them money. Although, actually, saying that now I can, because people may have been deterred from it because of how bad the Avengers storyline was and how short it was. That's not to say that the story for Marvel's Avengers was bad. It was good. It was just really, really short. And they expected everybody to come back for the end game update content, which is just waste of time, really, because that makes you wait for the content that you could have just played in the story mode. But yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy came with all of that. It was just a shoe-in single player story. They didn't add in ridiculous multiplayer. They didn't say, right, you've got to play this part on multiplayer, you've got to have a second player for this, you've got to have your friends play with you've got to play with randoms, you've got to wait for this character to come, or you've got to wait for Drax, you've got to wait for Groot. No, it was all added in simultaneously, which is a better deal than what we got with Avengers, to be fair. Maybe people will start seeing that, and maybe that 200 million loss will start to decline, but unless you're a diehard fan, it's doubtful. But yeah, because of all that, it's possible that the Embracer Group will be keen for Crystal Dynamics to move on to future projects. I mean, Insomniac Games does seem to be the dominant force at the moment for superhero games, with their successful Spider-Man games, upcoming Wolverine game, upcoming Spider-Man 2. Of course, I'm getting both of those because who the fuck wouldn't? If you'll pardon my French, but it's just so exciting to see so many superhero games coming now. We've even got Gotham Knights coming later this year, which is in of itself a bold venture, a Batman game without Batman. But once again, that's a video for a whole nother day. So yeah, but anyway, but based on Crystal Dynamics' inconsistent content roadmap, which has seemingly been cancelled for this year, and release schedule since the game's launch, it stands to reason that the elite characters will still require a sizable amount of time and monetary investment before they're even put on the drawing board. With the studio's collaboration with Microsoft on its newest project, Perfect Dark, still in the works, alongside the next Tomb Raider franchise, there's potentially more lucrative avenues for them to explore, which is why I come again back to the cycle of the game having its plug pulled and just forgotten about and left on people's shelves to collect dust. But yeah, that's about it then for Marvel's Avengers. I mean, let's hope it's not it, but you guys know what I mean. I mean, it was a bold title from its inception. They did the best they could with what they had, and it was good for what it was. It was the first time it had been done in years since the MCU adaptations of the games, which seem to have stopped after the Captain America game back on way back on the PS3. So it's very bold of them to try it, and split off from the trend of the Spider-Man games, because everybody seems to love doing Spider-Man. Activision have done Spider-Man, Square Enix did Spider-Man years back, Neversoft did Spider-Man. It's all the same. Everybody loves doing Spider-Man. So again, it was very nice for that change and switch off from Spider-Man to the Avengers, which we haven't really seen a lot of, unless you count Ultimate Alliance, which in my book was the more successful Avengers game. And if Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics had taken inspiration from Ultimate Alliance and incorporated it into Marvel's Avengers would have been... It would have exploded. People would have bought the skins. People would have even bought the DLCs if they weren't already free. Because that is the embodiment of an Avengers game, Ultimate Alliance. And you can say I'm wrong, you can hate me for saying that, but Ultimate Alliance will always be my favorite installment of the Avengers. But yeah, that's it for this video then. I want to thank you all for watching and tuning in. And of course, like I said at the beginning, I am back producing content. I may be sporadically uploading videos because I'm having to use my PS4 for the audio due to not having a PC and the PlayStation 5 share factory being completely... there's no other word for it than shite. There's nothing on the PS5 share factory that is worth doing. You can't even record audio. All this audio I've recorded, you can only do 1 minute and 40 seconds of it on the PS5 share factory. So that's why I'm back on the PS4 and I'm using old gameplay clips to produce these new videos. In terms of live streams, I will be continuing my Telltale Games series, but that's about all I can do until any new games release, unless you guys want to see me do a marathon on Gran Turismo or something, because those new hour-long races are just ridiculous on that. But yeah, other than that, I don't have anything to live stream for you guys. I'm sorry, but I don't. I don't. I can't live stream something that isn't there. You know that I don't have any new games to produce for you. But I'm still I'm quite happy producing content like this. You know, I don't mind producing videos like this. Most people do. Live streams aren't all about being a YouTube gamer. But yeah, that before I get into a whole video about what I'm going to be doing in future content, I'm going to call it there. So once again, thank you all for stopping by. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate all the love and support you guys have given me over the years since I started this channel. Make sure you tune in to Monty Burns Wakey's channel. He has recently just revived his love of gaming as well, and he is doing a ton of live streams based on simulator games. So if you like that kind of gaming, he's doing truck sim, train sim, things like that. So do head over to his channel. That's Monty Burns Wakey. Once again, if you like that sort of gameplay. So that's it then. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Gamer Dude. Happy gaming, and I will catch you all in the next one, guys.